Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and today it is time for a professional match of Zerg versus Protoss. And I'm actually really excited for this one because I recently featured this Protoss player right here in another video as well. In that game, he showcased us some of the most ridiculous micro that I've ever seen in StarCraft 2. So I'm curious to see if he's gonna be able to pull something off in this game right here as well. Spawning in the northwest corner of the map and playing with the pink Protoss probes. He's one of the most accomplished Protoss players in the world. We are currently looking inside of the main base of Zest. Now some might say that Zest is best, but I've got a feeling his opponent is not a weak player by any stretch of the imagination. He won BlizzCon in 2017, he had a great 2018, he's one of the highly accomplished Zergs on the planet. We have none other than Rogue. Now, in case you're interested in watching that game with the crazy Protoss micro, I'll go ahead and post a link to it down below in the description of this video. I really do think, though, that you should watch this game first, because I've got a feeling we are in for a treat. It's pretty tricky to get my hands on these kind of replays, although, obviously, Wardy has been casting tons of these games, and he's been sharing them in his replay packs, which is really, really awesome. But generally speaking, getting games of the likes of Zest and Rogue is not particularly easy, just because they participate primarily in the Korean events, and pretty much all of those events don't release their replay packs. Anyhow, let's see where this game is going to take us. We see a gateway on the low ground, followed up with a nexus as well as a cybercore. So, very standard opener right here from Zest. He's grabbing himself that second gas right now, and we'll have to see what he does once this cybernetics core finishes. So there's a couple of different options that you have. You can go straight into Twilight, you can go into a robotics facility, but more often than not, we do see Stargate openers. Now, in that game that Zest played against Impact, he decided to go for a quick robo, a quick set of stalkers as well, and he used that in combination with an observer to snipe a lot of creep tumors, and it was a really interesting build. This time around, we do see him saving up right now. He's already over 100 gas, so if you wanted to go for a Stargate, you would probably plant it down right now. I love that. That is so cheeky. He actually goes Twilight. Okay. Okay, so let me explain this real quick, right? There's gonna be some harassment over here. We'll look at that later. Here's the thing. Protoss players have the choice to go Twilight, Robo, or Stargate. Stargate is 150 gas, Robo and Robotics and Twilight are both 100 gas. Usually what that means is that if a player wants to go Twilight or Robotics, they will start up Warp Gate immediately. But since Stargate is 50 gas more, if they want to go Stargate openers, they usually delay the Warp Gate research in favor of a quicker Stargate. Now, in this game, Zest, I looked down, he did have the gas to start up Warp Gate much before he actually did. So, he started up the Warp Gate right here, making it look as if it's a Stargate opener, while then going for a Twilight Council and a quick Dark Shrine. This is obviously the kind of thing that only really works at this level of play, but that was an exceptionally cheeky play there by Zest. So, for all we know right now, Rogue may very well assume that it's indeed gonna be a Stargate. He gets the Spore at 330. That's to stop a 4-minute Oracle. I love this. I also love this song, by the way. This song is incredible. Now, I also like this a lot. So, this is a thing that we've been seeing a lot more over the last couple of weeks. Top-level Zerg players are once again scouting with 2 Overlords. So, there we have it. A Rogue sees what's going on. And well, I think the Stalker's probably, hey, Stalker, wake up! There she is. Or he, I don't know. But there we go. It will eventually be shut down, but that was still a lot of great scouting information right there for our Zerg player in blue. He did decide to delay the lair quite a bit, though. Up to this point, we don't really, yeah. Okay, we see it starting right now. So the thing is, usually if you want to stop a quick Archon drop, or for example a quick Dark Templar play, you need to start up the lair right around 3 minutes and 40 seconds. If you don't have that, your early game detection is mostly gonna be Spore Crawlers, until of course Overseers are out. So yeah, it's gonna be Zerglings right here, as well as a super late Roachwarren. I love this. Super clever play here by Zest, trying to trick his opponent. He is gonna attempt to see if he can maybe snipe the Spore. Nah, he saw the situation that he was in and he decides to just simply snipe a Queen instead, but that was 100% free. Now also, I love this too, okay? Not morphing in both of the Archons immediately, because he knew the Zerglings are out there. And then once the first one finishes, or a little bit before, he grabs himself the Archon, and obviously the second one as well. It's gonna delay this push just a little bit, but risking losing an Archon at this point in the game is massive. So here we go. Once again, we have that Immortal, or not the Immortal, sorry, the Archon juggling. Obviously, the Queens can try and snipe the Prism. Solid control there by Zest, though, as we can expect. In the meantime, at the third base of Zest, he's grabbing himself a third Nexus. So that is still a 5-minute Nexus, which is very, very normal. We'll see where he's going to take this. We see additional gateways coming down. Look, I know I've been fanboying a lot over Zest, but I love this. So, if this is similar like the game that we saw where he went up against Impact and he showcased that ridiculous micro, the route at which he gets there is different, but it would mean that he's not gonna get himself too many probes. So, what he did in the game against Impact is get a third base, but not actually mine from it. He essentially transferred all of his probes from the main there once it started running low. Regardless now, though, Zerglings are gonna try and see if they can get this Nexus. There is a single shield battery right now healing up this Nexus as well. It is running dangerously low, though. One hero force field is indeed gonna force some of these Lings back. And Zest looks like he wants to try and kill as many of those as possible. And yeah, this kind of showcases the reason why standard builds are king. Zest has shown us exactly how to defend perfectly in the early game. He only lost 25 minerals. I guess that's like a cancelled thing, whatever. I don't actually know where the 25 minerals come from. But anyways, doesn't matter. He's barely lost anything, and Zerg has been forced up with his back against the wall. Now, if this is what I think it is, yeah. Zest is making a couple probes right now, but he is also moving out. So, I don't think he wants to fully saturate that third base. Instead, he's once again trying to trick his opponent. So, when you think about it, right? Rogue right here scouted a 5-minute third Nexus, and he knows what it is that's going on. Most of the time, that means Protoss is gonna try and saturate that base. In this case, we do see a couple of probes there, but not that many, and instead Zest is gonna go up right now against the Zerg, who is severely over-droned. That is Roach Ravager coming out right now in big numbers, but there is way more Protoss army here already. This is extremely scary force. Solid force fields right there, slicing off some of those Zerg units, at the very least preventing them from retreating. One reinforcing Immortal looks like it might get picked off. Big warp-in right here on the creep. Very aggressive warp-in location as well, though, right? It only takes a couple of corrosive bows to get that prism out of the sky. One of the Immortals there that was reinforcing did get picked off, but a lot of workers were already killed right here as well. Although, so far, I gotta say, I really like this defense for Rogue. If he can keep this up, he's gonna be in a phenomenal position. But here we go. The next set of warp-ins is indeed gonna activate, and that is a lot of those Zealots. Keep in mind, they don't have charge, so this is not gonna be nearly as scary as some of those army pushes, but they also hit much later, and when you think about it, already the damage has been done. I think if Zest, like, retreats right now, he's gonna be in a phenomenal spot. If he overextends and loses all of those units, that could certainly cost him the game. Because then all of a sudden, the Zerg counterattack is really scary. I love this way that Zest is playing. Honestly, such a tricky opponent to guess, right? The delayed warp gate tech, then the third Nexus at a normal timing, but following it up anyways with a push then off of, I think, 7 gateways? Was that 7 gateways? Actually, that was an 8th one right over here, yeah. So only just now is when we see additional probes coming up, and he's gonna try and push the advantage right here with a Forge and a Templar Archive. Beautiful game. Now, there's no denying, though, that Zest ended up losing a lot of those high-value units. Plus, at this point in the game, he does not have Splash. Splash damage in the form of course, well, I guess he has Archons, right? They deal splash damage, technically, but Splash in the form of Colossus or Disruptors or, of course, High Templar is very, very important in this matchup, because stopping 200 Zerg is tricky. Looks like Rogue, though, he tested the waters there for just a little bit, but he has decided that he wants to return back home. And I don't blame him. This is a pretty terrifying Protoss army once again. We see the Infestation Pit coming up, and I like this idea. I think he wants to go for Swarm Host. Swarm Hosts are very common in this matchup nowadays. They are extremely strong as long as you get your Locust on top of the buildings or on top of the army. If they're just simply floating around, it's pretty bad, but usually we see Zerg players do this when they are forced into a relatively low eco situation. Once again, great set of force fields there. Whew, couple of free roaches right there being picked up, also pulling back the zealots so they don't just simply die to the corrosive biles. Excellent move there by Zest. Looks like he's gonna try and see if he can maybe push right here through the center bit. Just sniping a creep tumor for now. Picking up the weakened units in the prism, of course. But yeah, this is a tricky scenario to be in. That's a lot of Ravagers. Right, this army is 11 Ravagers big right now. That's a lot of biles all the time, and it takes only one mistake to lose. Particularly if you're retreating over a bridge, that can make the game very tricky. And indeed, Rogue has found himself a bit of an angle. He's going to snipe as many of those high-value targets as he can, raining the biles once again on as many of those sentries as possible as well, while picking up high-value Protoss units. Still though, ooh, going over a bridge with sentries? Yeah, I don't think you want to do that. And Rogue decides to back up. But now he's using this opportunity to transition to Swarm Host. Okay, so Swarm Hosts are great when they're not being, like, run around. So a lot of Protoss players, they want the Locust in the air for as long as possible, because that means they are not fighting their army or their structures. However, if you overcommit for 1 second, the Locusts swoop down, they can shut down an army in just a couple seconds. Obviously, the risk of Swarm Host is that they are going to be on cooldown for about a minute or so, give or take a minute. It's a little less than that, but they're going to be on cooldown for quite some time. So you need to use them as often as you can without wasting. That's basically the deal with Swarm Host, and it's a very, very slippery slope. A lot of Zerg players like going for this style when they do not have that big eco, and that's exactly where Rogue is finding himself right now. He doesn't have that much economy. Well, there we go. First set of Locusts are gonna fly right now towards that Protoss army. This is a very Stalker-heavy force. I kind of like the idea because they can pick up some of those units from the air as well, but that's still a scary amount of Zerg units. Great set of storms, though, coming up. Yeah, interestingly enough right there, the Prism did not get target fire down, and Rogue is going to be forced to retreat right now. This is still a scary Protoss army. If you look at the supply count, it can oftentimes be deceiving when it's Swarm Host based, because these units are not helping out in the 3 supply each, but soon, very, very soon, once the Locusts come off cooldown, there is a chance for Rogue to hold on and maybe even kill some of these Protoss units. While this is going on, by the way, I look at the minimap and I see a 4th Nexus planted down for Zest. So this is by no means this is by no means an all-in right now for our Protoss. If you can snipe the base, that would be massive. Although I don't think he wants to target fire in that direction. Still, though, he decides to engage some of those Locusts. I don't know if that's necessarily the best choice. They deal so much damage, and those Zealots get picked up for pretty much free. Eventually, there we see some corrosive biles aimed at that Warp Prism. It does stay alive for now, but I do think a lot of those Protoss units overextended there, and yeah, he decided to fight Locust off creep. Always a tricky scenario to be in. Now, if you look at the eco, right, the economy, it's 53 workers for Zerg versus 68 for Protoss. 4 base right now for Protoss versus, well, I guess a just now acquired 4th hatchery for Zerg as well. He got that during the engagement. This is a scary Zerg army. If the Locusts can get the kills, they can 100% turn the tide right now. Because if I look at this game objectively, even though supply count is heavily in favor of Zerg, this is a great game to be in if you are the Protoss player. Oh man, did you see that one Zealot there? Forcing all of those Locusts to swoop down. It doesn't matter, the Nexus still falls, but that was a very high level decision. Alright, so I feel like this Zerg army, right? Roach Ravager Swarm Host is best against a Protoss army that is below, let's say, 140 or so supply. Zest does have a very large amount of units, right? And I feel like if he goes 1 or 2 more Warpins without being pressured, or without getting his 4th base picked off once again, he's gonna be in a really, really strong position. And he knows it right now. He wants to get some of those juicy... Oh my god, those storms on the bridge! Really well done. Yeah, he knows it. He wants to get some of those Warpins in, and he wants to get as big of an army to fight this as possible. So, I briefly touched upon this earlier, right? The army supply counts can be very deceiving when you watch a Roach Ravager Swarm Host player. Because it maxes out extremely quickly, but then you've peaked in value, right? I mean, you can get upgrades and all that, but 200 supply Roach Ravager Swarm Host is never gonna withstand very well against 200 supply of Protoss with splash damage and like Archon Immortals. You know, it's just not gonna happen. So the value right here of the army is about the same but I like this unit composition for Zest quite a bit. I love the music as well. Oh, alright, so he's coming in with the Locust from the side. At this point, Zest doesn't know where the Locusts are, and he's gonna spot them right now. You better run. You better run. Alright, he is indeed gonna run. And with some good storms there, woo, every single one of these Locusts goes down. At the same time, we see some aggression right here on the right-hand side. Units being warped in from, I guess, the base over here. Yeah, indeed. More and more reinforcing zealots coming up as well. And while that indeed distracts the Zerg army, we once again see with the Locust gone, the Protoss army on the left engaging here as well. A lot of fights actually all over the map. Apparently Rogue wants to go for the counterattack right now with the Swarmhost instead. He's defending with Roach Ravager on all sides. Locusts are indeed activating their... or Swarmhost rather, activating their Locust wave. It looks like they're making their way towards the fort. That's so far away. So far away. Hatchery over here will likely be picked off as well. Hatchery over on the right-hand side also gets picked off, but the Locusts do swoop in. They do go after the Nexus, and the Nexus does fall. Great game sense right there by Rogue, knowing exactly when he needs to activate these Locusts and when he does have enough distance to still cover with the Locusts to pick up the base. Now all of a sudden, we find ourselves in a weird spot. Both players have 3 base economy. Supply count though, even though it's in favor of Rogue, I'm gonna say it's in favor of Zest. Because that's a lot of those glowy boys, look at them. They've got sparkles and lasers and, you know, a lot of energy. He does have enough Locusts right now though to start activating them in little waves. You don't need to activate them all at once. If you can get the Prism, that'd be massive. Rogue really not ever target firing down Prisms, it seems like, right? He hasn't really been doing that very often in this game so far. But now all of a sudden, right, the storms are tremendously powerful. We see Zealots making their way towards the main base as well. They're just trying to pull some of this Zerg army apart. The 3rd hatchery falls. Zest is once again reacquiring his 4th base, but I think he has successfully broken through the Zerg player. Still though, with 1 good Locust wave, and that's, I think, why Zest is playing so cautiously. With 1 good Locust wave, this army can evaporate. This is actually a very high-level move here from Zest. To decide to return, he wants to fight the Locust wave first. There we have it. He wants to know that that Locust wave is going to be on cooldown. I don't know if he saw that the units were being activated here, but he doesn't need to overreach right now. That was a very high-level move. I really want to emphasize that. Like, it's so easy to overextend against Swarm Hosts. When you just, like, when you're 4 bases and you just killed one of the last mining bases of Zerg. I mean, it's very easy to just simply try and box all of your units towards the other side of the map. Great corrosive bows once again, but here we go. The Stalkers are feeling brave enough to blink forward. Locusts are on cooldown. He doesn't know exactly when they're gonna be active once again, but that still is a lot of those units being picked off. Blinking aggressively right now. Zest is smelling blood. He wants to close this game out right here, right now. Couple of Locusts do get activated, but now there's plenty of those Archons available to defend them as well. And in a very well played game, it is indeed Zest who obtains the victory. If you weren't already a fan of this man before the 2 games that I've now uploaded of him, I don't know. I don't know what to do. But at the very least, after watching, okay, you should be very impressed with the skill level required to make all of these very high level choices. Beautiful game there by Zest, making a player like Rogue look easy. I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright? And I will see you once again in the next one.